Before we begin, please note this story is intended for informational and educational purposes. Some scenes have been dramatized for storytelling clarity, but the facts are based on real investigative methods and publicly available reports. Everyone mentioned is presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Viewer discretion is advised, as this video contains details that may be disturbing to some audiences. Join us as we dive deep into the haunting true story. The Los Angeles County Courthouse buzzed with a strange anticipation that morning. The air hung thick and heavy, like the building itself could sense that something unusual was about to happen. Rows of spectators filled the gallery, leaning forward, whispering as if they were waiting for a celebrity scandal instead of a routine criminal case. But today, the main attraction was a 19-year-old standing beside the defendant's table, his hands tucked in his pockets as though he were waiting for a bus, not a verdict. Jalen Dawson, 19, accused of grand theft auto and resisting arrest. On paper, the case was straightforward. A stolen 2022 Audi A6. A police chase through downtown. A teenager arrested only blocks from the abandoned vehicle. But in reality, the only thing truly straightforward was the condescension etched on Judge Walter Grayson's face. Grayson leaned back in his leather chair, fingers drumming lazily on the polished wood. He peered down at Jalen over the rim of his glasses with an amused smirk, the kind reserved for people you've already decided aren't worth taking seriously. "You think you're some kind of legal expert?" he asked dryly. "This isn't a debate club, kid." The courtroom chuckled, bailiff, stenographer, prosecution, even a few spectators. But Jalen didn't flinch. He'd spent years preparing for moments like this, even if he never expected to stand on this side of the courtroom. Growing up, while his friends memorized sports stats, he memorized case law. While other kids played video games, he reenacted mock trials in his living room. His mother, Denise Dawson, a paralegal for over 20 years, had filled their home with stories of real courtrooms, sloppy police work, biased judges, defense attorneys too tired or overworked to care. By 14, Jalen could break down a trial better than most law students. But none of that mattered to Judge Grayson. To him, Jalen was just another teen in a long line of predictable mistakes. "Let's make this quick," Grayson sighed. "I've got a golf game at 2. More laughter. But this time Jalen's lips twitched, not in fear, not in amusement, but in recognition. The judge had already dismissed him. That was mistake number 1. Prosecutor Mitchell Carrington rose with the confidence of a man certain of victory. His suit was sharp, his tone rehearsed. "Your Honor, the state will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the defendant was caught in a stolen vehicle. Officers pursued him through downtown, where he attempted to flee. His fingerprints were found on the steering wheel. The evidence speaks for itself." The crowd murmured. It sounded convincing. But Jalen stayed still, his eyes calm, calculating. He knew how prosecutors like Carrington operated. Build a simple narrative, make it sound airtight, trust that no one looks too closely. Judge Grayson nodded. "Let's hear the defense." Jalen's public defender, Lisa Thornton, stood nervously, unsure of what to say. Before she spoke, Jalen lightly touched her arm, a silent "don't worry." Then he stood. "I'll be representing myself, Your Honor." Silence. Then chaos. Whispers, raised eyebrows, Carrington's short, mocking laugh. "You'll what?" Judge Grayson asked, almost entertained. "I'll be defending myself." But the moment Jalen stepped forward, something invisible shifted. The gallery leaned in. Carrington's smirk faltered. Even the judge's bored expression slipped, just for a second. Because the boy they had dismissed as clueless was about to dismantle everything. Jalen let the silence stretch long enough to make everyone uncomfortable before he began. "Your Honor," he said calmly, "I'd like to confirm something with the prosecution." Carrington crossed his arms. "Go ahead. You said Officer Daniel Ruiz personally saw me behind the wheel before my arrest, correct?" "That's right," Carrington answered, already impatient. Jalen nodded. "Then I moved to dismiss his testimony." Judge Grayson blinked. "On what grounds?" "Because Officer Ruiz wasn't on duty when the chase began." A collective gasp rippled through the gallery. Carrington's eyes narrowed. "What are you talking about?" "I request that the court verify Officer Ruiz's GPS logs from that night," Jalen said, turning to the judge. "If he was where he claimed to be, the data will prove it. If not, he let the implication hang." Carrington hesitated. Just a second, but long enough for the jury to notice. Long enough for the judge to notice. No objections. The prosecutor finally muttered. The first rope holding the case together snapped. Carrington tried to regain control. Regardless, the defendant's fingerprints were found on the steering wheel. That's true, Jalen agreed. But fingerprints prove contact, not theft. He stepped toward the jury, his posture relaxed, his voice controlled. Imagine trying on a jacket in a department store. You put it back. Later, someone steals it. When your fingerprints show up on it, should you be arrested for shoplifting? Several jurors exchanged uneasy glances. And let's discuss the forensic evidence, Jalen continued. Was the specialist subpoenaed to testify? Carrington stiffened. No. So the prosecution wants you to trust evidence no one can verify, Jalen said, turning back to the judge. No chance for cross-examination. No chain of custody. Nothing. Judge Grayson's jaw tightened. He glanced at Carrington in irritation. Another mistake revealed. But that's not all, Jalen said. I'd like to submit a statement from the owner of the vehicle. The owner? Grayson asked, surprised. Yes, Mr. Raymond Whitaker. He told officers. Jalen lifted a printed transcript. I saw the kid who stole my car. He was white. The courtroom erupted. Carrington stepped forward, voice strained. This is irrelevant. No, Jalen cut in. It's the truth. He continued, his voice sharp but calm. I was arrested blocks away from the abandoned car, walking home with friends. I wasn't in the vehicle. I wasn't running. The only thing I am guilty of is existing in the same zip code as a stolen car and being black. The room went silent. Heavy. Uncomfortable. This case isn't about evidence, Jalen said to the jury. It's about assumptions. The real thief got away, and the police grabbed the first kid they could find. Judge Grayson exhaled slowly. Does the prosecution have anything further? Carrington didn't answer. He couldn't. No, Your Honor. Grayson leaned back, staring at Jalen for a long moment. The courtroom held its breath. Then, case dismissed. The room burst into chaos. Gasps. Reporters scribbling furiously. Carrington frozen in humiliation. But Jalen didn't move. He simply breathed, because he had known the truth from the start. When Jalen finally stepped into the hallway, the air outside the courtroom was just as dense. Only now it was thick with reporters. Jalen, how did you dismantle the case so quickly? Did you expect the dismissal? What's next for you? Flashes burst like fireworks. Microphones pushed against his chest. Voices overlapping until they became a single chaotic roar. Jalen ignored all of it. He pulled his hoodie over his head and kept walking. He didn't come here for attention. This wasn't a performance. It was survival. At the bottom of the courthouse steps, his mother stood waiting, arms crossed, expression unreadable. When he reached her, she exhaled a long, shaky breath. Boy, you scared me half to death. He rubbed the back of his neck, sheepish. Had to take a risk, Ma. You always were the stubborn one, she said, pulling him into a tight hug. But you're mine. Behind them, reporters continued shouting, cameras clicking. But Jalen didn't look back. Across the street, leaning against his car, Judge Grayson watched him quietly. The arrogance he had worn like a second skin in the courtroom was gone. In its place was something that looked almost like reflection, maybe even guilt. He had expected an easy case, a routine hearing. Quick, clean, forgettable. Instead, he'd been forced to examine a system he'd long taken for granted. A system that wasn't as fair, as objective, or as just as he wanted to believe. Jalen glanced at him for a moment. Their eyes met, and in that silent exchange, an entire conversation passed. Acknowledgement, regret, understanding. Grayson called out earlier as Jalen left the courtroom. You should consider law school. But Jalen already had. He knew now more than ever that this courtroom wouldn't be the last one he stood in, but it would be the last time he stood there as a defendant. He was going to become an attorney, not just for himself, but for the thousands of people like him. Kids who didn't have the knowledge to defend themselves, who were chewed up by a system built to move fast, not fairly. The truth lingered in the air like a warning. How many other cases had gone the same way? How many innocent people had been convicted because of bias, shortcuts, or the pressure to close a case? The system relied on people. People with flaws. People with blind spots. People with power. But people could change. And Jalen Dawson would make sure of it. Because the next time the system tried to swallow someone whole, he'd be standing on the other side of the courtroom, ready to fight back. All visuals and audio elements are used under fair use for commentary and analysis. This story is shared to inform, not to sensationalize. Kindly subscribe to Mystery Arena for more intriguing stories. Here, truth isn't hidden, it's uncovered. See you in the next story.